Okay, everybody, we're going to be getting started here in a few minutes. If you'd like to head inside and grab a seat, you are welcome to do so. We do ask you put your mask on if you come inside. You're welcome to sit outside and watch on the screens as well. Stay at your table if you'd like. The windows are all open. You may be able to see from your chair. We are going to get started here in about 10 minutes. If you are coming inside, please make sure you have your mask with you and please put it on. You are welcome to stay outside if you'd like. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started here in about 8 minutes. Grab a cup of coffee, some dessert. Please make sure you have your mask if you come inside.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome and thank you for coming. What a special evening this is for El Cab. This process has been 3 years in the making, and we have endured many challenges, some of them unprecedented, as we've heard so many times. And to think, we thought weather was going to be our biggest challenge. I am reminded of the quote from the famous footballer Pele, "Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing." As many of you know, I put a lot of personal time and effort into this project out of a passion for this golf course and a deep love of El Cab. I know that all of you share that same love. All of this, all of it, is possible because of you, the amazing members of El Cab. And it is also possible because of our team, the amazing El Cab staff. Together, we have created something very, very special. In the words of our founder, Bernie Shapiro, El Caballero has always ascribed to the theory that life is both play and pilgrimage. Life is good work, and work's reward is good friends, good food, good sports, and good times. I'd like everyone to raise your glass. A toast to our new golf course and to the members of El Cab. I wish all of you the best, and I hope that everyone plays well and plays quickly. And for those of you that do not play well, please play quickly. To El Cab, thank you, everybody. Okay, everybody, let's cut the ribbon. We have Reese Jones, Rick Katz, our current president, and our two most immediate past presidents, Scott Cohen and Drew Pomerantz, to cut the ribbon. And away we go. Congratulations, everybody. So the golf course is officially open. However, we're going to run out of daylight, so sorry, you're going to have to wait till tomorrow. But we do have some first ceremonial tee shots that are going to be hit. And we are going to start with our world-renowned architect, Mr. Reese Jones. All the way in from New Jersey. On the tee. Wow. Next on the tee, our most immediate past presidents who really started this process. There we go. Okay, play away, gentlemen. Nicely done, nicely done. Next, our current president and master plan committee chair, Rick Katz and Joe Getman. Nice, nice, guys, nice. Next on the tee, golf course superintendent Matt Dool and head golf professional Tasha Bolig.
Okay, next on the tee, our director of golf, Brett Mormon, and our general manager, the man of the hour, everyone give him a round of applause, Phil Lopez.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much. We are now going to make our way over to the patio. We have great food stations for you tonight. We've got about a couple hours worth of socializing, drinking, food. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, everybody. Those of you outside, if you could just please give us your attention inside. We're going to get started. I would like to welcome everybody once again to this reopening celebration. We're going to have a nice little evening now with Reese Jones and some great stories and some insight from Reese about the golf course. And so for our welcome and introduction, I would like to introduce Rick Katz, our club president.
Thank you, Phil. Wow. What a beginning to a new opening. And just think, 9 months. We've given birth right on schedule, right on cost, and completed right on target for our special members. Parents who have waited, endured the process, will now get the opportunity to enjoy and treat their new baby with love and care. This journey is now complete due to the foresight of numerous boards of directors over the last 25 years. Previously, we've changed course irrigation, bunkers, water hazards, tried different turf grasses, always learning along the way. Until a pivotal change occurred under Scott Cohen as he completed construction on the front gate, adding controlled access and exclusivity. At this time, Phil Lopez became our general manager. And with his experience, the restoration process began. Drew Pomerantz engaged our architect, Reese Jones, establishing a plan for remodel. He led a vote overwhelmingly supporting a full course restoration. Then, the pandemic arrived. With it, we planned and remodeled, added practice areas for our members in a safe environment. This remodel included a putting green behind the 18th green and an unparalleled family golf experience. To our great architectural team, Reese and Steve Weiser, who both supported the adage that the chief object of every golf course architect is to imitate the beauties of nature so closely as to make his work indistinguishable from nature itself. Thank you. Kudos to our partners, Jeff Munson and Leon Blankstein from American Business Bank, Curtis Tyrell, our consultant from Cannon Golf, who has extensive golf course restoration experience. Curtis guided our project on time and on budget. Ruben and Mark from Wadsworth Construction for their tremendous work that they did, keeping us exactly on that timeline. And to Steve Crotty, our golf course shaper extraordinaire. Additionally, Matt Dool for shepherding this process. To Brett Mormon for stepping into the leading role of golf operations, reinventing our golf experience, and re-energizing LCAB's golf staff. And of course, Tasha Bolig. Thank you for your dedication, style, passion, and enthusiasm for our club and its members. My personal thanks to Joe Geckman and his master plan committee, and my current and past directors for their dedication and support. Enjoy our course as it matures. With care and pampering through its infancy, it will endure and flourish. Now, Tasha and Reese.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Katz, thank you for that introduction. And on behalf of the staff, thank you for your leadership to all the boards, the committees who've worked tirelessly on this project. We thank you. This is a pretty amazing evening. We get to play golf tomorrow. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. All right, so I think we're here tonight to talk to this guy. We'd like to hear about this restoration masterpiece and be able to hear from our world-class architect, Reese Jones. Thank you for joining me. Or should I say the open doctor? We're going to get to that. You are a legend among legendary golf course architects, and it has been beyond a pleasure to get to know you and see how you and your team work and restored our golf course. You've joined the family business of golf course architecture in 1965 and never looked back, and we get to benefit from your years of experience. Okay, so I was thinking about what we wanted to talk about tonight, and there's a lot to cover with golf course architecture. But I was thinking, what a neat skill to be able to restore a golf course. It can be easier just to blow it up, start over, but to be able to take an already existing landscape and be able to enhance it and make it better. What an art, what a skill. And I thought we could highlight that here tonight. So we're gonna start with that. So Mr. Jones, can you tell us the process of taking an already established course, like El Cab, like a Hazeltine, like a Bellerive? Where do you begin?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank all you members and the committee and the staff for hiring Steve Weiser and myself to work with this club. It's been a phenomenal experience for both Steve and myself. The committee has been very supportive. The staff here is unbelievable. I mean, they all work together for toward the same goal, and I think that's what made this project so successful, is that we really had the same goal. And I came here 17 times during the process, so I really enjoyed every minute I've been here, partly because of the people, but also because what my father created was a very special golf course to begin with. And as I understand it in the interview process, a lot of the architects that they brought in here to look at the project wanted to put their own stamp on it and not really embrace the greatness of what this golf course was to begin with. And I think that since, as Tasha mentioned, I've done so many of my father's golf courses over, and really he's the one that taught me along with his construction people. I knew what I was looking at, and I knew we had to bring it into the 21st century. So if you look at the video that's now going to be on the website, you can see that a lot of the challenge that was here previously still exists in the restoration. Steve Weiser and I looked at every feature on this golf course over and over again and made decisions on what we should modestly change, what we should dramatically change, and what we should just almost leave alone with the new construction technique. And so restoration is not necessarily going back to the origins of a golf course and putting it all back the way it was, because some of that stuff really doesn't pertain to the equipment or the players of today. So, and the speed of the greens and the maintenance of the golf course, things have changed. So we have to change it, as I've said in some of the videos, much like Augusta National's been changing their golf course constantly to keep up with the improving players and the improvement of the maintenance practices. So if you watch the video, a lot of the challenge, the bunkers are in the same location, a lot of holes, some are different. But we opened the entrances to a lot of greens because we really wanted to allow the player that doesn't hit it very far a better chance to access the greens. We changed all the bunkers and made them so they're more playable. You can walk in them, but a lot of them have the same degree of difficulty as they did before, although they're not quite as deep. But it's the same hole. I think the green contours are the things that you're going to find different and probably more manageable because the green speeds are now, when my dad did this work in the 60s, the green speeds were 6 or 7 on the Stimpmeter. These green speeds will be probably 9.5 to 12 on the Stimpmeter. So you really have to consider the contours of the greens when you restore a golf course like this. So I think that when you go out and play it, you're going to really know you're a place that you recognize. You're going to strategize to some degree the same way you did before. But there are a lot of minor changes that make a big difference. And then there's some major changes like the 6th green and the 10th green that are dramatically better and it really receive the shot more readily. So the restoration is not necessarily going back in time to the origins, but it's to use the quality of the golf course aspects and then improve the golf course and lengthen it a little bit and shorten it a little bit. So it's a process that's ongoing. And then working with Steve Crotty, who's a great friend of mine, and we work extremely well together, we were able to get him to implement the ideas on the ground, and that's the key. And that's why I think he's here today, because we really are very appreciative of what he accomplished on the ground for this club. Because if you don't have Steve Weiser's and my ideas translated to Steve Crotty, you don't get what you have today.
I think you answered like 6 questions
Long,
all in one.
long.
I'm like, what do I even ask here? Okay. All right. So pretty special stuff to hear how our golf course has been modernized and we have a golf course that's really for every skill level. And I was thinking that we could talk about that because I remember one of your first trips here, standing with you on the first tee, it was all dirt. And I asked you, what's the most important part of this project for you, for our members? And you said to make it a course that has something for everyone. And I think we can all say without a doubt, you did that. And I'd love to hear about your vision for that, and maybe you can share with us some examples.
But I think that's for a club course to be successful, you have to make it manageable for every caliber player. And I think that's what I was saying to Tasha. And I think the 17th green is a great example. I think it may be the best green we changed because you have the tongue on the left behind the pond. The bunker is much more playable on the right side, but we really softened the slope to the water dramatically. So now when you play the bunker shot, the ball isn't going to go on the half the green and then into the water, unless you hit it a little thin. And then you can play that green on the ground to the far right. There's a little terrace. You can play that slope, and it's going to kick it to the left. You can flirt with the water, and it's going to kick it to the left. So a lot of thought has gone into how to get to every part of the green. But I think the greatness of this golf course, which I think this is a great golf course now, and it was a great golf course before. I think it's a 21st century great golf course. The green shapes, the green contours, the hard areas of the hole to access, the easy place to access, the choices you're going to have to make, whether to go for the pin when it's on the right side of number 11 or if it's in the back part of number 10. You don't have to go for the pin. The pros don't go for the pin in the majority of the time. So you're going to have to really think about it when you have hit your first shot on 11, whether or not you can go to that right hole location. And I think that's what's going to make this an everlasting pleasure for you as members and your guests, and for tournament play, is that this golf course can play differently every day depending on how Matt Duell sets it up and where the pins are, where the tees are, This is not a golf course with 18 round greens and really basically the same green on every hole. This is a golf course that probably has some of the most distinctive green shapes and contours of any golf course in California.
I agree. I think that's been so fun when we've done our course tours to be able to highlight that, like a hole like 10, how different that plays for the golfer from 181 from the back tees to being able to run the ball up if you're playing more forward. So thank you for that. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the design and how you've been able to modernize the course. But another thing that I found really fascinating, not only when we've had our discussions, but just from being on the course and seeing it, is the course fits the land way better now, and we've talked about that. And I was hoping you could highlight that a little for the members, share with us some examples, and then maybe throw in some of the modernization conversations we've had.
It was interesting going out on the course today with Steve Crotty and Steve Weiser, and we kind of looked at different holes and you're going to forget the way it was probably 5 years from now. But a lot of the fairways, I say 6 or 7 of the major fairways, we regraded so that like number 7 doesn't kick the ball into the rough. But then I changed it a little bit. I put a bunker in the middle of the fairway. But I think that a lot of that is really going to make a big difference when you play. My theory is that when I ask you to hit a shot, when you hit that shot, you're rewarded. These greens are going to hold the shot. These greens have sideboards and backboards. These aren't like Pinehurst number 2 where they're crowned and you can hit the right side of a green and be in trouble. So I think the beauty of El Cab is that when you manage your game the way the architects that have asked you to, you're going to be rewarded. And if you don't go for the pin, you're still going to have a 2-putt and you can get out of town. So I think that a lot of the changes that we made are really dramatic. The 10th hole was really kind of tough. You'd hit the right side of that green, and your ball would disappear. And they're $6 now, I think, aren't they? But I think that what we did, we had a lot of fill to the left side of that hole. It used to fall off. Now you can actually hit short if you're a shorter hitter. There's a bailout place. You can flirt with the front part of the green and play to the left. Then there's a little pocket before you get into the bunker. And then if you go for the back part of the green, we got this upsweep in the back. And I think that's what people, when they come from other clubs, they're going to notice how different El Cab is from any other club in the area because we've got these backboards and sideboards today, which really do help you. But if you go too far over, then it's going to be almost a little more difficult to recover. Number 11, we lost the trees because they were dying, but I think that's a wonderful driving hole. Number 4 may be probably one of the better holes on the golf course now. The old combination of 3, 4, 5, they seem to be sort of similar. Now they've got so much character. And by taking out some of the trees, now you look across that land and you see how it flows and how really so adaptable it was to these golf holes. And then I'll get into like 5. I mean, that's just a neat hole. And what I've allowed you to do too is bail out. If you don't hit a good drive, you don't look over the water, there's a bailout. But there's also, you got to thread the needle on your bailout. The same thing on 13. There's 3 bunkers there instead of 1. But there's also a bailout on the right if you want. So there's a lot of ways to play these holes depending on how you hit your tee shot. I think the par 5s here are really quite extraordinary. They're old style par 5s. They're the length of par 5s that my father designed in the 1960s. They're not long. Everybody thinks a par 5 ought to be 600 yards. They're in the low to mid 500s, but there's only 3 of them. But each one of them is a finesse hole, and each one of them has really 2 greens in one. The 12th hole may be one of the more unique holes in golf as far as a par 5. Don't hit it in the back level if it pins in the front. But
Good tips for tomorrow.
If it's in the back, you can hit in the front. Number 7, there's 2 different sections. The right side is smaller, but you really want to be on the right section if you want to have a chance for birdie or two putt. So number 1 is a great starting hole. Uphill, very deep green, a little bit of a false front. But the nice thing you'll notice is instead of the ball rolling all the way down the fairway when you miss that ball, we put a pocket in front of that green so you won't be that far away from the intended target. And I think you'll find that that's the case like on left of 10 and on all these holes. When you miss it, it isn't like some of these golf courses being built today that are closely mowed, and there's no rough, and you miss the shot from the green by a slight amount, and you find you're 40, 50 yards away from the green. You're going to be able to recover from the places where you miss your shots at El Cab.
Are you excited? You ready to play the course? Okay, I have one little golf nerd question that I have to ask before you bring up your team. But when you and I were talking about your signatures versus your dad's signatures, I think it's a really fascinating conversation about how our golf course was built for aerial shots and how you came in and changed it and added some ground game. And I know you covered that a little bit so far tonight, but I would love you to share some other signatures. You can even expand on those. But I think it's really fascinating what you've been able to keep, but then add your own dimensions.
Well, I think Tasha's correct. My father, when he built El Cab, he basically rebuilt El Cab. It was built 5 years before he came in, and the founder of the club hired him to improve, and he rerouted the back 9. But when you come in and you can see a ground like, I think that's why the routing is so good, because it was opened up, it had been attempted to begin with, and then he made the changes to the routing, which made every one of these holes fit the ground. And there's not a hole on this golf course that doesn't fit. I think he did design, as I mentioned to Taya, Taya is my granddaughter's name, Tasha.
I get Trish too. You're good.
Yeah.
Call me whatever you want.
So, well, Taya is going to love the fact that I mentioned her name. But we've got, I think our green contours are much like my father would have intended sections of the greens. But then there's others that are just contours and sweeps, and some of the harder holes don't have real severe contours. So it's a change of pace. Whereas I think my father kind of built tough contours in his greens on every hole. I think he really did concentrate on the aerial game, but I think in the redo, the restoration, we concentrated as much on the aerial game as we did the ground game. And just about every hole, there's a bailout or a slot where you can bounce the ball in. So the shorter hitters have a good opportunity to achieve success as much as the longer hitters here. I think that's probably the most dramatic change philosophically that we've made. We added length to this golf course, but we didn't add length indiscriminately. We added it at appropriate places, and we didn't add that much. It's now over 7,000 yards, but we also made it a little bit shorter for the higher handicappers and the shorter hitters, and there's a lot of variability in the tees. I think number 2 is a great change. We moved the tees to the right. We took 2 protective bunkers on the right side. You're now hitting away from the slope that falls down to the 7th hole, and the bunkers will protect you. And I think that may be one of the more favorable changes to the membership. I think 10 is going to be a wonderfully favorable change. And then the 12th hole, I think, is a magical hole. It looks pretty easy. No bunkers off the tee. Really no challenge if you hit short of the green. But it's like 2 holes in one. When the pin is left in the rear, you have to flirt with the bunkers on the left. When it's in the narrow part of the front part, it has a backstop. But at the same token, you have to miss the bunker on the right. So on any given day, that's going to be a really challenging hole, but it's going to change dramatically from time to time. This golf course finishes really dramatically. I mean, 14, we really improved that hole. We added a back tee for the better players, so now they'll be up on the higher level. They won't be able to go down the slope and have a little flip. And yet we left those tees for the everyday player so that they still play the shorter version of the hole. and we took out one of the trees on the approach, and you can really access that green much more easily from the top of the hill now than you could before. 15, we eliminated the tree in the middle of the fairway. Yeah. I kind of knew what I was doing. But then, you know, on 17 and 18, you've got two really wonderful, strong golf holes. And you're going to have to earn your score or win your match on those two golf holes and manage your game on those two golf holes. And 18 did have a bunker in front, but we've actually made the right side a little more manageable if you want to bail out a little bit. So while you play this golf course, say, can I manage that shot, or is that too risky? Can I get in more trouble? But you got lots of chances to hit to a spot short of a green or right of a green or bounce it on. And I think that's going to be the beauty of the restoration.
Definitely more strategy. So, along with your 17 visits to the club, and you're not sick of us yet, you had a pretty awesome team. And I want to highlight them and have them come up on stage. So, Steve Weiser, come on up. Architect who has been working with Steve, but been in the business, working with Reese. I mean, been in the business for the last 30 years. And you're working with Steve Crotty. Crotty, master shaper, come on up here. And shaping courses all over the world for the last 35 years. The communication between the three of you has been amazing to watch. It's you have great chemistry, and you certainly help Mr. Jones' vision come to life. Can you share with our audience how it works? So specifically for you, Mr. Jones, how it works having these two talented individuals on your team, and how you personally sign off on all the work being done.
Well, basically you can't get a project done like this without a fabulous team. And it isn't just all of us sitting up here, including Tasha, on the stage. It starts with Phil Lopez. It really goes to Matt and the pro staff. And everybody here really led to this success, the maintenance crew. But Steve Weiser and Steve Crotty worked hand in hand with me and with the club, and I think they should just basically tell you just how it all works as a team.
I don't know. Yeah, good, I am on. You know, the hardest part about this kind of work is that you have to be able to see what it's supposed to be in the finished product, and as you're working up from the bottom. And you guys have heard this before from Reese's descriptions in the video, but when we put together a team that has us and Crotty and Wadsworth and Curtis and everybody, we know where we're going to go, and we find things that we don't expect, and this had them as well. But when you find them, you still know how you're going to get there. And so that sort of system of the relationship, you're not sort of teaching people necessarily how to do something in the course of doing it. You see opportunities and you take them, you find issues and you solve them. And, you know, Crotty really is a guy who implements things, and he knows what you want right away. And so it's just a matter of, because every golf course is different, getting to where it's supposed to be finished is the trick. And you may have a word to say about that as well, but that's what's made it easy for us. We knew where we were going to go. You never know exactly how you're going to get there, but and you have to do it in a certain amount of time. It's got to get done right. And
yeah. First thing I want to say is thank you guys for including me as part of this masterpiece. That it's been so enjoyable for me to be here. But all part of this, like a big part of it, was Joe and Scott coming out.
Woohoo!
And they would tell us where the ball would end up. On every green, the ball would come over here. The ball would end up over here. And we would fix these little problems. Now, we tried to anyway. But one thing is, I'd listen to Reese. Reese would call me, and Steve would show up, and we'd listen to what he would say, how he wanted this to play, how is this going to fit. And me and Reese has got this thing where we just think the same right now. And it's really working out good, especially like this. You see out there what we have accomplished. And, I mean, you guys are going to love this. I wish I was here after you guys play this first round.
Or maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think you guys are going to have a great time. It's going to be a blast. You know, and we had a great team as Wadsworth. I mean, we worked together. I became really good friends with a lot of these guys now. I mean, I keep in touch with them. They're on different projects, and now I'm even calling them and saying hi, and we're actually friends. So it really worked out good. They have a great team, and we became a great team, and we produced a great product.
Well, I just want to add a little bit about what a shaper like Steve Crotty means to this project, because basically you have a major work of art out there now, and you had the makings.
All right, here.
You had the makings of a very beautiful, natural, artistic, and he really did the artwork with his bulldozer, and I think we do have a wonderful rapport, and I think that's how it all turned out. I mean, and he'd throw his ideas in, and then Steve Weiser would throw his ideas in, and then we'd sort of come to a conclusion of what was best. We'd move, like the second green, we moved it right, so we really want you to favor the left side off the tee a little bit, so we wanted you to access that green from the left side, but then we put the smaller bunker than it was before on the left side, so if you do flirt with the bunkers on the right, you're going to come in and more easy access to the green. There's a lot of strategy out here that we all kind of manufactured together, and then Steve Crotty was able to implement it for us. And the bunkers here, it was the right time to build this golf course. The bunker technology is such that we have this liner in it now which will keep the sand in place. The sand's going to be firm. We've designed the bunkers so you can get in and out of them easily. They're pitched uphill to the greens, so you don't have too much downslope. So you're going to really have an opportunity to extricate yourself from the bunker and get close to the pin. The fairway bunkers aren't overly deep, and they are pitched from back to front. They're pitched uphill, so you can hit. It's not like a British bunker where you can only get out with a wedge. You can hit a long shot out of them, and you can get in more trouble by doing that than if you did a shorter shot. But it gives you that choice. So I think what we've all done together is we've given you as golfers lots of choices on every single day, and I think that's why this is such a great membership golf course, because this can be a source of continuous pleasure, continuous challenge, and it's going to add ad infinitum. It really will last ad infinitum.
You know, the other thing too, you mentioned, made me think about was when you talk about restoration and what Mr. Jones did originally, and when you peel back these layers and you find what was down underneath, there are hole locations that people probably were able to play years ago that are actually there now. It's not necessarily the greens are easier or more difficult, but some of those bunkers are actually more in play now. Used to be, they'd sort of been pushed away and the surfaces are more tied to them now, where you, in a way you could say that's easier, but you could also say it's harder because you can put the holes in places that it almost the holes had been pushed to places that were flat enough to use, and now there's many more, wouldn't you say, in terms of places on the greens they can use for all those different variety of day-to-day?
Yeah, I think what was really interesting when we cut into the greens, and in some places we found 30 inches of mix, and there's only supposed to be about 10 to 12. So over the years, these greens were probably more severe than they were when we started, and they patched them a little bit. Then they wanted to make the bunkers a little more difficult. So in a lot of these bunkers, they brought in John Harbottle to make them more difficult. So he built these little berms on your greenside bunkers. So when you were in the bunker, you really couldn't see the surface, and you had to elevate it over the berm. And that's all been brought back to my father's style. And so a lot of the changes that were made over the years have been eliminated, and we've implemented the concept that my dad had in the 60s.
We have so much more usable space on the greens with more hole locations, to your point. Yeah.
Well, now the bunkers actually fit the greens now.
Yeah.
They actually all part of, it's all one unit instead of having a green and then a bunker over here. Now it's all one unit, and it's going to work out a lot better.
Okay, so this is like asking like your favorite child here, but can you give us, each of you, some of your favorite changes, whether it's through concept, imagination, design, just some of your favorites? Maybe I can start with you, Mr. Jones.
You promised you'd call me Reese after you first.
Oh, fine. Okay. All right. Sorry, you're right.
They keep asking me what my favorite golf course is, and I say the next one. Because that's the culmination of all my ideas to date. But I think the most dramatic, popular change is going to be number 10.
Yeah.
You can really bail out to the left now. The bunker saves you from going too far away from the green. That's a narrow, long green. Those are hard shots because you can hit it at the right distance, but you can't hit it offline. But the green contour now receives the shot, the sweep in the back. It's really 3 holes in one. The front portion is really easy to access on the ground. The middle portion, the water is almost directly in front, and the back portion has the backstop. So I would say that might be the most accepted improvement by the membership. But I think number 2, just moving the tee over, protecting the slope, the downslope, moving the green, all little changes. But I think that was kind of the hole that people kind of didn't want. It sort of might have ruined your round in the beginning rather than at the end. So I think we really solved that problem. And another thing that I wouldn't pick, but I think what I love about this golf course now is every hole has a distinctive element and a distinctive design concept. So there's nothing similar from hole to hole. And I think that's a very unusual characteristic of any golf course design, and it makes El Caballero very, very special.
My turn.
Go.
I think for me, the changes that are somehow the most appealing to me are the ones that people don't even notice. And we've done a lot of, some of Reese has mentioned, some of its fairway grading could be 4 or 2, but there are a lot of subtle things there. It could be 15, you may not even notice the way that landing area is improved. 17, there's some places around tees and other things that you'll go out there and you'll say, wow, I didn't remember this was always this smooth. And because it's not what it was, we fixed a lot of funky things that weren't working, and you were fighting on the golf course, and you didn't know it at the time. And when it's fixed, you may play and never notice it without watching the video again. It'll take you a while to figure out why it's working now, but sometimes those are the dramatic ones. You got a long list of, but the subtle ones sometimes turn out to be really cool.
I can't wait till you guys go to putt on these greens. I put a couple little special things in there for you.
Okay, so any complaints, we know we're going to direct all the.
But it's all in fun.
Yeah,
But not
I
really.
think what the point he's making is there's subtle contours on a lot of these. There's dramatic contours. The sides of the greens kind of make the ball sweep. So you're going to have to relearn all your green surfaces. And like the fourth green used to pitch severely to the left, now it really angles to the right. And then we put a bunker way far away from the green so it won't go down the slope toward number 2. So there's a lot of little things that we did that you're going to have to relearn and rethink about as you play this golf course. But I think a lot of that was done with the three of us up here because we really measured every green. We had the grades. We studied them in the subgrade. We brought them up after we put the gravel and the mix in. Then we finished them again, and then we came out and got all the grades and made sure that they worked and they were the proper contour and the greens would break properly and they would hold the shots. So that technology is something my father never had in the 1960s. He didn't have the ability to build tees like we built today or to really check the grades. They just sort of hoped they were okay, and they never really used the technology that we use today in that era.
Well, remarkable job, gentlemen. How about we add to our panel? So I'd like to invite up our general manager, Phil Lopez. Phil, this project doesn't happen without you. And your tenacity and your communication skills and your hard work and your leadership is remarkable. And I feel so lucky to have gotten to be on this journey with you. We're all really, really, really proud to work for you and to be a part of everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. Thank you.
I thought this would be a good time to reflect a little bit on the project. So Phil, if you don't mind, can you take us through some of the goals from the beginning that you really feel like, okay, we're here, we did it. Why don't you share with us a little bit about the process?
Yeah, I mean, I would say when we started this, as I said earlier, 3 years ago, and the kind of hiring an architect and going through that process. But I think when we got to the plan that we presented and that everybody voted on, we really had two simple goals, if you remember. It was sustainability and playability. It was a golf course that you could play that was in good shape year-round, and it was a golf course that we could have that would survive the next drought. So guess what? The next drought's here, and you have a golf course that's going to be in tremendous condition year-round. And I think for us, this was really about delivering something to you as members that you deserved. The golf course you had before was great half the year. And the other half, let's be honest, we all apologized for it. You don't have to apologize anymore. You are getting what you deserve as members. You're getting an exceptional experience every day, all throughout the year. This was about delivering to you something that was exceptional. LCAB has been exceptional for many, many, many years. And we had some things that weren't exceptional anymore. And we needed to turn that tide. And this was the first big domino, I guess you could say, that fell in that process. And it really opened up the idea for the board and for me as the manager of the club and for our team to look at everything we do and to really turn this into something that turns the club in a direction towards exceptional. And everything we do, it's not just course conditions, it's service. It's how you get greeted at the first tee. It's how you get greeted at the gate. It's how you'll be greeted at the valet stand now. How you get greeted when you come in for lunch and the service you have for lunch and the quality of the food, all of it. We've made tremendous strides in everything that we've done over the last 18 months at a time that has been unprecedented. I think our goal in this whole process was to deliver you an experience every day that is exceptional. That doesn't happen with a golf course that you have to apologize for half the year. So thank you to these gentlemen and to everybody that worked on this Curtis and Wadsworth, Mark and Ruben in the back there, and Matt, our superintendent. This took a village of people. The board of directors had a vision. They stuck to it. The master plan committee gave tireless amounts of time and effort. Like Steve said, Joe and Scott were out there all the time. They're going to get co-design credit on this deal here pretty soon. This was a labor of love. As I said earlier today, everybody involved in this did this because they love El Cab. I love it. I know you love it. And now we're all going to get a chance to love what these guys created. And I think that is just the best thing that could have happened for this club.
It's a team. No one person can do this alone. It is a team of people that it took to get this thing done. And I am so proud to say that I was part of El Cab.
Absolutely.
Is this still working?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Another person on stage that answers like 3 questions in one. Okay, so now I got to skip here. All right. So before we go to our Q&A portion, I wanted to just take a moment and have Mr. Jones, Reese, talk to our membership about how to care for our course when we play it tomorrow. So Matt Duell and his staff, they're going to do a fantastic job, but it's our job as members and staff to make sure that we're caring for this new infant of a golf course. So if you could share with us a little bit about how we do that, we would really appreciate that.
Well, this is very tender, young turf. Okay, it's brand new. It looks phenomenal. It is an absolutely wonderful grass for the sustainability and the water consumption, but it's about to go dormant, and it's not going to grow until next spring, the fairways, and there's going to be no overseeding. So it's very important to really fill the divots. It's very important to stay where the carts are supposed to be because you're going to be on dormant turf throughout the winter, and this turf is very young and tender. The greens, the same thing. They're just growing in, and I think if you don't fix the ball mark, that ball mark will die. So really, I think a lot of people during COVID were not attending to the maintenance of golf courses. They weren't raking the bunkers. They weren't fixing the ball marks. They weren't even reaching into the cup to some degree. So I think it's time now, especially since this is a brand new baby, to take care of this baby because the more you take care of it, the better it is for everybody that plays it.
We can do that. So before we open it up for Q&A, just want to thank our amazing panel here. Can we all give them a round of applause? This is a magical. This is a magical time for our club, and we thank each of you up here for your tireless efforts and certainly giving us a beautiful golf course that we get to play starting tomorrow. For those of you who have any questions about restoration-related themes, we have Matt Duell, our superintendent, and we have our director of golf, Brett Mormon, walking around, and they'll come find you. And go ahead and ask our panel any questions.
Well, thank you guys for doing this. Your enthusiasm is contagious, so we can't wait to play. But Reese or Mr. Jones, for you, obviously there are golfers at this club who are going to hit the ball 200 yards, someone with a 240, someone with a 280. Do you have, or would you recommend what tee boxes someone who hits a 200 versus 240 versus 280 should play? Because you keep talking about how the course should be played. Are there recommendations of what tee box different people should play from?
Well, the beauty of El Cab is it's a great golf course. It's not based on length. It's just over 7,000 yards, par 71. And
Questions?
you've got to play the right tees. I think there's too much ego playing tees that probably make the course too tough for every one of you. And I think you really have to measure whether or not you're really having good shots into the shorter par fours, which tee you go to. There's a long leaf tee program that you can actually measure your drive at the range at a lot of golf courses and really determine which tee to play. But if you want to go back and play tough day, I mean, Jack Nicklaus made me play Oakmont from the back tee several years ago. He said, Reese, are you going to play up there in the ladies' tees? You're going to come back here with me? I said, okay, Jack, I'll play back with you. Well, none of us had a score that day, which tells you that I was on the wrong tees. So I think that's the main thing. And I think the beauty of El Cab, too, is if you aren't a long hitter, it's a very recoverable golf course now. Around the greens, it's not tightly mowed, which is hard to really, for the everyday player to get the ball lofted. The bunkers are going to be firm. They're going to be pitched uphill. So even when you're not hitting the green in regulation, you're going to have a good opportunity to make par. So I think management of the course is going to be important. So, but I think tee management strategy will make it playable. But I think everybody's got to pick the right tees.
I have a question, Reese. During the pandemic, I've played at a lot of different courses, and most have 2 or 3 bunkers around the green. I noticed here there's 4 or 5 or even up to 7 bunkers around the 18th hole. Why so? I know you've allowed access into the greens on the ground, but why so many bunkers?
Well, if you notice what's happening in golf architecture, you take number 13. It was a huge bunker. These are bunkers that are designed to be closer to the surface and make the shot more manageable for recovery. We don't have many of these mammoth bunkers that you see on so many golf courses being built today. So it may be a higher number, but the square footage of the sand is probably less than a lot of golf courses being built today. So don't count the numbers, just look at how much sand. But plus, we designed it so that the sand is close to the green so it's easier to recover, and they don't have many downslopes. So yes, the numbers around 18 but it was a heavily bunkered green before, and it is the 18th hole. And one thing about the bunkers, they do keep you closer to target when you miss it. So just remember, when you hit your bunker shot, don't stop. Hit through the ball. So.
I would say one quick little fact, too, about that. We actually do have more bunkers now with the redo than we had before, but we actually have less square footage of bunker than we had before. So all of the bunkers got smaller. Even though we have a few extras than we had before, they all got smaller. You'll end up in bunkers less in this redo than you did before.
Yeah, just look at before and after pictures. That will show you how some of these bunkers were huge. And we've made them to where they're all playable now. You got more space on either side of the bunkers. You got more turf. So they're just not as much sand, but I'd say they're more playable than they were before.
These bunkers are a lot like bunkers of the past, and this is a classic golf course now. So the bunker size and the location and the strategy, there were a lot of bunkers on golf courses of yesteryear. We don't have half as many as there were then, but the bunkering here really is evidence that you have a classic old style golf course.
So I have 2 questions for the panel. Okay, I have 2 questions for the panel. So the first question is, we received the master plan from you guys, and it set forth a lot of detail on what the course would look like and the holes and everything. And then you go out there and you do it. And I'm curious, how much of the work is improvised when you get out there and you say, well, the master plan said X, Y, Z, but we're actually going to move the bunker here, and we're going to contour the green this way. How much of it is inspired on the golf course versus sticking to the master plan? That's question 1. Question 2 is, how in the world did you guys figure out the back tee for 14?
Tee on 14.
We know who's going to talk about that.
That was Steve. Steve found that tee. I'd say, to some degree, we stuck by the master plan in philosophy the whole way. But as you go around, you work with Steve Crotty and Steve Weiser, you maybe move part of the green here or there. You decide after the master plan that you want to move the second green to the right. So a lot of the macro ideas are on the master plan, but a lot of the minor ideas and are really in building the golf course, and you make the changes as you go along.
And I think the good example is all of the greens that are adjacent to the ponds. You have a stone wall built there along each one, and the greens did not fit that wall.
That's
and
right.
So to make the green fit the wall, we had to do some minor tweaking to make them, first of all, drain, and then also have that pond be effective for those whole locations as they work their way around. On each one of those is probably an example of that.
Yeah, and a lot of this, like I've told a lot of people, when I'm out there playing in the dirt will actually start talking to me. And all I have to do is listen to what the ground is telling me. And then it all comes together. Everything comes together, and I just make a fit. Of course, I got to listen to what Steve and Reese have to say, but then I just get it to fit. And it's all what the dirt wants.
And then we come out and I say, Steve, what did you do?
Yeah, but you love it when it's done.
There wasn't any fun building this golf course. What do you think?
It's all about fun. We have a lot of fun out there.
Got some more questions.
Hi, is it on? Yes. Hi, I have actually a very simple question. I mean, obviously the greens have changed and all this and that, but we always knew that except for 9 and 18, everything broke to Reseda. Is that going to be the case, or is that over?
I think I'll answer that. I was actually out yesterday rolling some putts on several holes, and I do think you still have that effect, because there are still some greens where it just doesn't look like it breaks that way, but it still kind of moves towards Reseda. We saw it on 7 a little bit. We saw it a couple other places, but I think you're still going to have that impact. But it's obviously going to take everybody some time to learn these new greens. There is a lot of difference in these greens. There's sections of greens we never had before, or used to have back in the 60s, and now they're back. It's going to be a lot of fun and interesting, I think, for everybody to get a chance to play it and learn it and start to kind of bank all those breaks that you had for so many years. But I think you're going to really enjoy that part of it. But to answer your question, David, I still think there's definitely that impact throughout the whole property.
Yeah, there's a lot of these greens where Reese would say, let's move this back, eliminate this bunker, let's move this back, because I think it used to be there. And then I'd get in there and start digging in the dirt, and I would hit sand. Even 20, 30 feet past where the green was, there'd still be sand back there, which meant the green used to be back there years and years ago. So a lot of these, they look bigger, but they used to be that big years ago. And they just got smaller over the years. And
You'll see it a lot on the back of 13. Green got way further into that hillside, because there was sand all the way back into that hillside, which we had lost a huge part of that over the years.
13 is a fun green to play. That is going to be so fun. It's one of the smallest greens, but it's going to be fun.
Brett, got somebody back there.
Hi, first of all, thank you guys very much. My question is, I'm playing tomorrow. What is your number one piece of advice coming out to this course tomorrow?
Positive attitude.
Play quickly.
Have fun.
In a little bit, yeah.
I think hopefully you listened a little bit to what we're talking about, but It's a new golf course for you. It's a new experience. You're going to be learning as you play, but there are shot options. I think you need to be careful of some of the false fronts, and you need to take an extra club, like a number one. But I don't think you're going to see all that tomorrow. I think you're just going to, over a period of time, going to learn all the nuances of this golf course.
I would really encourage people as you play to really pay attention to where your ball ends up on a green and really kind of pay attention to how you got there and other routes that you could take and what have you. There's a lot, like Reese said, there's a lot of side banks now and some backboards and things. There's some shots that you can play into the greens now that you just never thought about. And that will be really interesting and fun. And you might, if you don't execute it very well, you might get in big trouble. But if you execute it properly, you could have a great advantage. Yeah. And I think as you play the golf course time and time again, obviously you're not going to learn that in one day, but you'll really find that part of it a lot of fun and very interesting. And there's going to be a lot of fun shots to try to hit out there that you didn't get to hit before.
Have you re-ranked the whole difficulties with like 2 and 17 being 1 and 2 difficulty? Is the order going to change or will it be the same?
Yeah, the scorecard is a bit different already, Ron. The SCGA came out and rated the golf course. They gave us the recommendations for the whole handicaps. And so that's what you see on the scorecard now. And then we'll start the process like most clubs do when you do this, is collecting scores from the members on the individual hole scores so that we can then redo those whole handicaps down the road.
Any more questions? Okay.
Up here, Matt.
Yeah.
So when you're coming into a green over bunker, are the back side of the bunker is less of a penalty than it used to be?
Yes, they are. Much less. They're more at grade. They don't drop as fast.
For the purpose of people, anybody that's watching online that may not have heard Jay's question, the question was, when you hit a shot over a front greenside bunker, are the slopes off the back of the bunker less severe than they were before? And
Oh, yes.
and I think the answer to that's a big resounding yes.
They're a lot less coming out of the bunker, but if you hit it too far, you've got a backdrop just about on all the bunkers where you won't overshoot the green unless you hit a bad shot. So you still have to hit the right shot.
If you hit bad shots, you're still going to get penalized.
Yeah. But they are, to answer your question, if you go over the bunker, out of the bunker, I try to keep it no more than 2%. So if you got a pin close to the bunker, you don't want that ball to go all the way across the green. And that is, I try to keep that from penalizing the player.
So two really good examples of that are 7th green. Anytime you carried that bunker, it just would kick all the way off the back of the green. You'd end up on the staircase, right? Like, by the way, no more staircases. There's no more stairs out there. Everything's been regraded, so you don't need stairs. And then the other place is on 16, that middle front greenside bunker on 16, which was just brutal because that green's not very deep. And you'd hit a beautiful shot over that green and over that bunker. It would hit that downslope, and where'd you end up? In the back bunker all day long. Yeah. That's all been fixed. If you hit a good shot over the front bunker, your ball's going to stay on the green.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Before we end this evening's program, we would like to honor our panel up here with Reese and Steve for your dedication to our restoration. So Phil, if we can have you come over here to this part of the stage, I should say. And then Mr. Katz, if we can have you come up.
Prizes.
We have some tokens of our appreciation.
Mr. Jones, we took this opportunity on the golf course, and you will all see it when you're out there tomorrow. Those of you that will play the back tees, I know not many of you will, but few of you will. The back tees have now been named the Jones tees in honor of Reese's father, but also in honor of Reese. So, Reese, thank you for your dedication to the club and this restoration. And we hope you and your father are very proud of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Steve Weiser. This is a beautiful picture of the 14th hole. Drew asked a question a minute ago about the tee on 14 and how did we find that tee. And it was really Steve Weiser honestly hiking through the bushes and the trees that all covered that area at one time because he was trying to find a way to change that back tee angle and give the better player kind of a longer shot and not have to hit an iron off of the 14th tee. And he found it. And I didn't really understand what he was talking about when he came into me and said, I think I found a tee for 14. It's back by the 13th fairway. I said, what are you talking about? There's no way you can get a tee back there. But he found it, and they were able to create it, and it really is spectacular. When you get a chance to see it tomorrow, you'll really be floored by that. But this is a beautiful picture of that, Steve. So thank you for your work on that and all of your work. Thank you. And Mr. Crotty, you are one of a kind, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for all the hard work, the dedication, all the dirt moving. I've never seen somebody and have so much fun on a piece of equipment. And you really were a pleasure to watch do your work. You were amazing. Your skill is just unparalleled. If those of you that had a chance to see what he created out there while it was happening, it is remarkable what this man can do with a bulldozer. It is incredible. So, Steve, thank you for all your dedication.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think the club of El Caballero, the way you guys treated me here, it was, I mean, I became part of this family from day one. And it just got better and better throughout the whole time. And I try to make it, I mean, we've all got to, make a living. We got to work. And I try to make it as fun as we can out there. And we did here. We had a lot of fun here.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for all your work.
Hey, before we conclude, we have the first foursome raffle. Mr. Jones, do you mind doing us the honor?
Well, what this means is that if you get picked to play in this first foursome, everyone in that foursome will hold the course record for a brief time because you let the worst score putt first, the next worst score putt second, the next, and so all four of you will have the opportunity to have the course record for a brief period.
Okay, drum roll. David Jacobs, Jonathan Jacobs, Roger Steinbach, and Sully Maya. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Is that it?
You can close this out.
Okay. Everybody, thank you so much. That concludes our evening. We have some wonderful gifts for you on your way out in the lobby. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank you so much for all your support. Now let's play some golf tomorrow.